to talk about and work through in the body with you the taking off of the facades. Taking off of the facades. So we're in a part of reality right now where only authenticity, only truth, only the raw core essence is going to be allowed to be present in this new earth. Okay? So if you're moving into the new earth, a requirement to get to that dimensional experience is authenticity, is realness, is no facades, okay? And our stories is not a facade, okay? We can sometimes use a story to cover something, cover story, but a facade is more like you're acting like there's not anything down there. There's not any wounds down there. There's not anything to hide. You're acting like everything is good and there's nothing to fix. There's nothing to address. You've done all that. So it's interesting because it's showing up in the world stage, in the third dimensional world stage, as a lot of the, as it becomes more and more transparent, there's a lot of the stories being displayed, being exposed, if you will. Underlying stories, wounding, if you will, untruths, deceitful energy even betrayals and lies and secret combinations, strategies, things that haven't been all up front and on the table and transparent and real and raw and true and truthful and honest, right? As a person, sometimes that's challenging, especially because we've all been through the ringer, so to speak. We've all been through stuff. So on the healing journey, the journey to embody higher frequencies and higher dimensions, sometimes we want to forgive all that stuff, skip over it, and head onward. But like we talked about in the last video, integration is key. We're not leaving any part of us behind, actually. Our stories come with us. They are part of the majesty and the multi-textual, multi-dimensional being that we are. They are our dial codes, okay? All the things we've been through, and at some point in the journey, we learn to love all of that about us. We learn to bring it all with heart. But before that phase is this sort of facade phase, I call it. And it's even like an imposter, some might call the imposter syndrome, though that is usually when you think you're being imposter, when you're really really deserving. But the facade is more like the phase of unintegration, where you are displaying the healed desire to be healed, the desire to be better. The new storyline is starting to rush from your mouth. There's new excitement, but it's an overlay. It's being laid over some wounding that still has a tenderness to it. So there's a little bit of a masking. And so I find it always interesting how reality will reflect this. So we have this masking and unmasking, and the unmasked and sometimes masked, and the masked in certain conditions going on in actual 3D, right? But individually, it is really time to check in and recognize and ask the self, do I have any masks on? Do I have any facades? Am I hiding anything? Am I pretending to be anything that I'm not fully yet? Okay. And there's a difference between like going for it, stepping into it, like owning it on all levels, and just lip service, right? And we all go through lip service phase at one point or another. We really want something to be true. We really want it. And those are like the affirmations that we tell ourselves in order to get like the new brain synapses and the new neurotransmitters that are going to allow that reality to become true for us. I'm just feeling like some tension in the pelvic area. So I'm wondering if you might want to move with me. The spine is really key in all this integration work and all this being the real person. Because we're running high electrical voltage, you can say. High electrical voltage through this main channel. And I'm feeling like a tension in the lower part of the channel suddenly, like the front of the root. And the front of the body to me represents going into the future, going forward in life. And the back represents what's behind. So if you're having pains or stuckness here, then you're holding on to the past, or you're unwilling to look at the past, face it. And if you got it in the front, like I'm feeling this about moving into the future, okay? So what I'm sensing is some dropping of facades, which is awesome. Some dropping of some facades more and more, where the real stuff gets to be revealed. The real story behind the story. The actual truth gets to come forth. And when we have the actual truth, then we have something to work with, right? If we're just working with a facade, then at any time the story can crumble because the foundation is not strong. So in getting beyond the facade, we must get to where our foundation is. And that's where I'm feeling it in the root today. And maybe we want to do like some squatting stuff. And just really like get into a stance where you can feel like from your root, what is your feeling about the earth? What is your feeling about being this open, this wide of stance? Do you feel comfortable? Is it painful? Do you feel like you have to hold yourself up away from it? Can you easily drop in? So this is how it feels physically, and also to feel the soles of the feet, but also how does it feel in your life? Like where is your foundation? Is it built on an old belief system that you were given as a child? And if not, if you've crushed through a lot of that, then what is it built on now? On discovery, on adventure, on a fleeting philosophy? Have you anchored into something new that's real for you? Are you still searching? Are you globbing onto other people's story? Which is okay, that can be a thing for a while. So, so many layers. Right? To recognize where your foundation is in a very practical, real way is just to time and again throughout the day, notice your feet. Notice them on the ground. If we're stuck in another idea of reality other than the one we're in right now, our feet will have a sort of lifted off the ground feeling. We'll feel kind of flighty, like we're not fully grounded in. So check your feet, feel weight in your feet. Like coming down, down, down. Talking about grounding here. So, what some people don't want to face is what their actual foundation is in the moment. because sometimes it's not what we want it to be. Look at the screen straight here. Sometimes we are in a little bit of denial of what our foundation is, or we're taking it for granted, or we're just not looking at it right, or we're wanting to be somewhere we're not, so we're pretending we're there. Believe me, I've been guilty of this too. But to really acknowledge and honor the ground under your feet, to really give thanks for that, and be sure of your foundation. Give credence to who built it. You know, right now I'm staying at my parents', which on and off in my life with my kids, I've sometimes landed here, and I've not always liked that or wanted to. Sometimes it's been out of necessity, and this time I feel that it's been purposeful. Purposeful to connect with family, purposeful to reintegrate a part of myself, and one of that is my gratitude for my foundation, for my roots, for how I was raised, for my parents, and for their wisdom and their insights and their love. And at times, you know, we have to resist those things in our parents so that we can find ourselves, so that we can be who we are here to be and find our authentic core nature. But part of our authentic core nature does come from those who raised us, as much as we want to try to escape it. The sooner we can love that about ourselves, the sooner we can appreciate that and integrate that and own that and see the value in it, the more whole that we become, and that rift between who we want to be and who we truly are begins to shrink, because we have to face our roots. We have to love our roots. Imagine a plant, a tree, that is trying to grow tall, but it refuses to acknowledge its roots. And it pretends it can do it on its own. And that tree will fall. Shallow-rooted tree will fall. So in this evolution process we're all in this up-leveling into a fifth dimensional reality, into this stepping into sovereignty, birthing of our true nature. We're built on the ones that brung us. We owe our very existence to our foremothers and forefathers, without which we wouldn't be here. And if we want to see that in our country, if we want to see a healing in our countries, first we must address that in ourselves. And we must stop entrapping our child nature and punishing ourselves for things we didn't know as a child. You know, some of us might feel we didn't like the childhood we have, or we're resisting it as an adult, or we would have done it differently as parents, and therefore that child self that did exist is tormented. Is actually tormented in our psyche. Is kept in a cage in our psyche, our child nature. And so we see this distortion, this unhealed, unintegrated part of ourselves actually in the physical world. We see tormented children. We know that reality exists. But to take full of responsibility of that in our life is to recognize that we're part of that problem. By negating our childhood, by not integrating it, by dropping the facade and truly just owning the truth of who we are 360 degrees, the whole thing, every piece of the pie that you've been up till now, every single slice of yourself, is part of yourself, part of your story, part of your wholeness and your glory. And the leaders moving forward right now will be those who are fully in their power of their 100% wholeness and owning all of their nature, all of the child self, all of the lineage, blood lineage and otherwise, because we are also connected to a spiritual lineage. Many of us are cleaving to that right now and looking for our soul tribes and excited to find people outside our bloodline that we really connect to. But it's both. Remember I said in my last video, it's not one or the other reality, it's both. It's not just, is it my blood family or my soul family? It's both paradoxically coexisting. Because I have this old spider bite that's itching this last day, so it's fun talking about this. In case you're wondering what I'm doing. In this phasing out of one reality into another reality part that we're in right now, the ancestry and the soul tribe, they seem like separate. They seem like they're two realities. Just like anything else, it seems like two realities. But the alchemy we're going to go through, this transmutation we're going through, is still to reveal that we have no idea what all of that meant. It was all a part of a greater whole, and it's going to make more sense in a bit. So before we go rejecting anything, or since we have rejected things, we can look back now and say, I'm going to choose to see the value in my roots, in my ancestry, in my family line, in the people who raised me, in my brothers and sisters, in my aunts and uncles, in my grandparents, in all of those people who are blood related to me, in all the relationships I've had. I'm going to choose to see the wisdom of my soul in these choices. And when I sit in that, when I rest in that, what I'm pretending to be drops away, what I truly am. And anyone who loves you, they love you for who you truly are, not your facade. If you allow that to come through, even for a second, it will be glimpsed. And that is what wants to come forth, and love, the power of love itself, is the force that allows the peeling away of all those things which are not you. And when those things get ripped away, you just gotta trust that that's what love does. Love is the great transformer. Love is the great healer. And even those things you think are you, that you might be attached to, that begin to fly away and peel away. And some of them are connected to family. But those pieces that are connected, that's not the true connection. The true connection is deeper. It's in the heart. It's soul fire. So the facade connections can go away, and the new ones can be born. You know, I did this with my older sister. And it was kind of painful because we seemingly had a really good relationship for years. She wanted to stay connected to me as I kind of did my own thing. But after time, I started to get upset at the relationship. I started to feel like it was somehow pretend, even though I know she never meant to be pretend, and neither did I. But we both were sort of not able to fully show our true self 100%. Like I felt like I still couldn't say or do certain things because I didn't want to offend her. I didn't want to. You know, it was too much. And vice versa, she didn't want to say certain things to me. So there was a level of facade. And even though it hurt, I knew instinctively that I had to crush that relationship the way that it was. I had to let it die. And I spoke it, and I asked for it. And being the intuitive she is, she knew that somehow that didn't mean it was really over, that but that both of us were going to be able to reconstruct an even realer relationship. And it's taking time, but it's starting to happen. And there was sadness and there was regret and like, ooh, should I have done that? Should I have maintained where it was? Was I not grateful? And yeah, maybe I wasn't grateful to the extent that I could have been, but I'm grateful for following my instincts and my authentic nature and knowing when something needed to be destroyed because it was not fully authentic. And so I guess where this is going is facades are in the process of being destroyed right now, all of them. So if you go through that experience, you're experiencing that, or you're witnessing that, have love, have compassion for it. This is part of the authentic revealing, and it's actually very exciting. Maybe it can be like a little startling as some start to drop, but stay in love, stay in trust, and be kind to one another, okay? Much love. And I'm still here. If anyone needs support, you can make a comment and reach out to me. Okay. I love you much.